Do you have any idea what the world would look like without fossil fuels? By the way, nothing in this room would exist without fossil fuels.
Not one single thing.
No, because fossil fuels is what makes the roads, is what makes the plastic, it's what makes the energy that drives
fertilizer.
Everything.
It's what gives us food.
All these numbers are fantastic. If you look at the amount of money that Germany, for example, has spent on alternatives, and then you look at what their base load power, the main provider of Germany's base load power is still coal. So if you want to have clean energy, which by the way, you and I don't want to be polluters.
Nope.
But we also don't want to see the whole world go back to caveman era. So what's the solution? And I think that we have really stood out in terms of our research and helping everyone understand how important both natural gas and nuclear power are going to be going forward to ensure continuity of the electrical grids and human progress.
Yeah, and by the way, Porter, you're not new to this game. You're not new to the idea that energy and technological innovation, right? So you start talking about shale oil in 2010.
Yeah.
2010, when the barrel of oil was well over 100, maybe $132.
Without a question, one of the greatest calls I made in my career was predicting that America would see an enormous energy renaissance and would become the leading producer of oil in the world. And, you were there when I started writing that stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone believed in peak oil and they thought oil was going to go to nothing in America.
That's right.
And people actually built LNG import facilities.
That's right.
Because they were thinking we'd have to import natural gas to America.
The Louisiana one, it was
Cheniere, LNG. And I wrote an article, and I think it was in May of 2006, that the headline of that issue was Madness. And I said, this is the dumbest business idea I've ever seen in my entire life. America has more natural gas resources than any other country in the world. And we're unlocking them in massive new quantities in places like the Barnett Shale, which is one of the very first shale fields that got unlocked with horizontal drilling and fracking. And I predicted that company would go to zero. Well, it didn't. It went from $30 to $2. And then the guy, Sharif Suki, who runs it, got smart and inverted it and turned it into an LNG export facility, at which point we recommended the stock. And it went from 5 to where it is now, 150, something like that. And there's another company out there right now we're recommending that's basically taking that same playbook, except for they're going even further. They're not just going to take other people's natural gas and convert it into LNG and ship it overseas. They're actually buying up gas fields in Louisiana, building their own pipelines, building their own LNG export facility. And this is going to be the first truly integrated energy export business in the United States. I don't want to tell you the name of that company. I want you to subscribe to Porter & Company and learn all about it, though. I will tell you about a large company called EQT. And EQT is just an incredible story of American entrepreneurship.
The Rice brothers.
The Rice brothers. They started an energy company in partnership with their father, who was an energy and private banker, in Pittsburgh in 2007-ish timeframe. And they had a private oil and gas company buying up these old shale assets in western Pennsylvania, and then updating them with technology, getting them to produce again. They went public in like 2013, small business. And then all of a sudden in 2017, they pulled off this incredible merger with a very big Pittsburgh-based energy distribution company called EQT. They saw really quickly once they were board members that EQT was badly mismanaged. So they had a proxy fight. They ended up in control of the whole business. And then they pulled off the biggest energy coup in America in at least 50 years. They bought all of Chevron's Marcellus Shale assets at the bottom of the COVID oil debacle for $800 million. Meanwhile, Chevron wrote off $8 billion of assets. So they bought all of the best shale fields in the Marcellus for 10 cents on the dollar. And that stock is still only trading for about 4 or 5 times cash flows. It's still very cheap, but it's the best run energy company in America. And it has become the largest supplier of natural gas in America. How incredible is that?
That's fantastic.
And a span of less than 5 years, really since they merged with EQT until now. They've just absolutely transformed the business. They've made it a world beater. And they too are looking into ways of building their own LNG export terminals so they can capture the higher price of natural gas that's found in markets like Europe, especially as Russia withdraws from that market. These are great long-term investments and the only energy source that's practical. And The reason why you can buy them so cheap, and by the way, this goes along with Warren Buffett's moves into Chevron and Occidental Petroleum, same exact ideas behind these things. It's also why we recommended the royalty plays that we have. People forget about this, but I recommended Texas Pacific Land, which is a royalty play, way back in 2011.
I wrote about it with you.
Way back in 2011, when the shale boom was starting. That stock's gone from 25 to
$1,200,
like $1,500 at the peak. Yeah, incredible.
Like
I mean, you would have made hundreds of times your money. Incredible. So getting these royalty plays right is really a great way of playing this entire boom. So we have a couple of those. We've got EQT. We've got the company that's building the new integrated LNG facility in Louisiana. These are very safe, very long-term bets. A place where I would put 5 or 10% of my portfolio and know that as the ESG madness recedes, the value of these companies' earnings are going to really be transformed in the market. Also, if you believe like we do that, printing lots of money and running trillion-dollar deficits every year is not the way to have low commodity prices, any kind of a big inflation spike, you could easily see natural gas prices go to $20 or $30 an MCF. And when that happens in these cases, these stocks will go up 10 or 20-fold almost overnight. So lots of upside. And because of ESG, they're trading at very low multiples of earnings. They have very high dividend yields in most cases, like Occidental and Chevron. And it's a space that we cover very well at Porter & Company. So if you're interested in that stuff, please subscribe, read our work.